Hey everyone, my name is Yarrow and you're listening to the DIY Business Magic podcast. So this is the last episode for 2018. I'm giving myself a little bit of a break over the holidays and I'm coming up with some really cool episodes in the new year. So this year, as you will have noticed, it's only been solo episodes because I wanted to kind of answer some questions and give myself some time to grow into this new podcast. But for next year, I've asked some really cool people if they want to be on the show to talk about their journey in business and how they're doing things differently. So I'm quite excited to share that with you. This episode is all about business planning for 2019. I'll do a little bit of a recap of my year in business and tell you about my plans for next year. And I'll also share some journaling prompts from a live workshop online that I ran last week on this very topic. So if you couldn't make that, then this is your chance to catch up, and I hope that it's useful in some way. So first I want to share something big that's coming up for me in January. As you might know, I run a program under the same title as this podcast called DIY Business Magic, and it's an 8-module, really comprehensive, quite cool, affordable course where I'm teaching you anything from social media strategies to building software systems to thinking about pricing in a way that feels good, to marketing yourself, to building your newsletter. And there's also a section about self-care for entrepreneurs, which I find very important. So there's a lot of screen share videos where I'm taking you behind the scenes and I'm showing you exactly how I'm doing things. And then there's also things like tarot spreads or how-to guides or stories from my business. And that's available for anyone who pledges $11 or more on my Patreon. And because I'm really keen on building community, I'm offering a live round of this program starting January 20th. So this will mean that if you pledge $11 on Patreon, you'll get not just access to this program, as well as the other 2 courses on web design and branding that I offer, but you'll also get invitations to 2 monthly live workshops, as well as an online community that's not on Facebook because that's distracting. This community will be on Teachable, where you can get to know other like-minded business owners and also be part of the IA directory so that we can support each other. So the 2 live monthly workshops will be with me. There'll be different times, so it's most likely that anyone can join. We'll alternate times and there'll be recordings if you can't make it live, and we'll go step by step through these 8 modules. You will get the chance to learn more. I will share resources and you get the chance to ask me anything. So that's great if you want a community, some support, gentle accountability, the possibility to ask questions, all those things, because I know it's really, really hard to work through programs on your own. Because you're all busy, I totally know that. And I wanted to create something that's really affordable for people. So this is what I've come up with. And I would love it if you wanted to join. And of course, if you think you know anyone else who might want to join, please join. Please share this invitation. I'm able to offer it at this very low price because I'm not spending money on ads and I'm relying on people sharing word of mouth. So thank you so much for that. Cool, so business planning for 2019. I want to start with a recap of 2018 in my business. So I launched the DIY Business Magic program in spring, which was a big leap of faith, and I made the decision to make it available at very low cost and to create ongoing, mutually supportive relationships with this community through Patreon, and that has worked and I really love it. I started building the Patreon at the beginning of the year, and I continued having conversations for the Daydream Rose podcast, and that's really exciting. I love that work, and I have invited many people again for next year because I want to go deeper in those conversations. And then, of course, I started a second podcast called DIY Business Magic, which you're listening to right now. I also focused more on building community in my business, and I ran more than 20 free online workshops. That was a huge time and energy commitment, but I'm so glad I made it because it enabled me to really get to know people and to get a feeling for what people actually need. And I just love, I just love meeting everyone and hearing what questions come up with people and for people and how I can help them. I also learned new things, and I widened the retainer-based services that I'm offering. So this means that you can book packages of time with me, and you can use that time to have me help you with things like launching a program, tech integrations, building software systems, design and branding, social media strategy and scheduling, all these things, so many things. So there's a long list of things that I can help you with over at yarodigital.com. I'm changing that a bit. I'm increasing my prices for these services in January, but it can be booked at the old price till the end of the year. I also finally put a great bookkeeping system in place, and I'm embarrassed to admit that the first couple of years I just had an Excel sheet and it was pretty painful to do my taxes. But now, thanks to my friend Lisa, I'm on Intuit, which is a really cool bookkeeping system, and that really works for me. There's a few things that I want to get better at next year. So one thing, I want to let go of more perfectionism, which feels like a never-ending kind of spiral journey of unpeeling and unlearning things that don't have to be perfect. I want to get more into batching things. So right now, every week looks different, which I love, and every day looks different too, of course. But I want to get more into the habit of batching things, as in planning social media content for the whole month ahead, recording podcast episodes, maybe 5 at a time, and schedule them in. And that kind of gives me more flexibility, and it also, to be honest, enables me to get ill or go on holidays sometimes, because I'll have more kind of prepared for myself, which would be great. I want to book in more buffer for, like I said, holidays and getting ill, and I want to take more time off work and the internet. So I want to make sure that I have at least 2 holidays where I'm leaving my MacBook home and I'm not really present on the internet. That was really beautiful to do this summer, and I need more of that because I work a ton and I pour a lot of energy and love into this, and there has to be breaks. Cool, so now I want to talk a little bit about next year and what I shared in the planning workshop. So I really invited people to start by thinking about what has worked well for them this year, what they want more of, and what was hard and what has been draining, and to really identify those areas that have been difficult, to think about how they can ask for support. And it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to hire someone or that you need a budget for that, but maybe you can trade skills with someone, or maybe you can find a system or a software that will support you with repetitive tasks that have drained a lot of your energy this year. So really, this part of planning and business, I think, is all about stripping back and getting really clear and decluttering before the new year starting. And the next steps I invited people to consider were to really start with the foundation and to think about who they're serving. In some business schools of thought, this is called thinking about your ICA, your ideal customer avatar. And this is a person that you're making up in your head, that you're defining in as much detail as possible. So for example, you're saying, the typical person that I'm serving is 30 years old, they live in California, they have a garden and a cat, and they're really into herbs. They have a full-time job, so they don't get a ton of time to think about self-care. Maybe they're into social justice, they're volunteering in a way, they love swimming and biking in their free time, and they're single. Just as an example, randomly. And of course, you'll be serving people with all kinds of other characteristics, but it can be really helpful to get very clear on who you want to serve and to have that person in mind as you're creating content and strategies and programs and offerings and all of that. So really think about that. What is their everyday life like? What is accessible to them? Where can you meet them? And what do they want to learn more about? And then think about your own needs around creation. What do you love making for people? What kind of services and products feel really easy for you to offer? And what feels hard to do? What's currently distracting you? Maybe there are things that are currently holding you back in some way. So in this case, it might be great to journal a little bit on the questions of what makes you feel like you're not good enough, or what makes you feel jealous? And what are you hesitating to share? And what do you feel is missing? And then when you figure that out, you can think about what support you need. And again, that could have, that could take many different shapes. Maybe you need a support group of people. Maybe you need more like-minded people that really get where you're coming from. Maybe you need your family members or friends to be more supportive of your business and give you a little bit more time to share stories and tell what's up for you. Maybe there's a skill that you feel like you're really missing and that you want to learn more about, and maybe you can make arrangements for that in the new year. And then when you're thinking about your goals, can you maybe do some work untangling what you think you should be wanting because everyone wants it from what you actually want and what the values are that are underpinning your goals. So for example, a very common goal in online marketing is to reach the holy 6 figures a year in business. And that might work for some people, but it's a very money-based focus, and it's actually also very hard to achieve. No shit. It involves scaling your business in a way, usually, and it might involve hiring a team, and those might be things that you're not interested in. And you might also come from a place where you don't have a ton of money right now to invest in ads or campaigns or hire other people, all of which is totally cool. Recently, someone wrote to me and said, honestly, what I want is to grow vegetables and live in peace. And I was like, yes, this is why we run businesses, because we want to play by our own rules and we want to figure out a way to trade and be creative in a world that feels good. And so maybe your goals are actually totally different. Maybe there is a certain amount of money that you do want to earn in order to feel safe and supported, and that's super valid. But maybe in addition to that, you want to take a certain amount of time off each week. Maybe you want to, start a certain self-care practice. Maybe you want to have more time and energy to nurture relationships. Maybe you just want to feel more free and that you can schedule your own time and take time off whenever you need to. And when you're thinking about growth and how you can make those things happen, think about how you'd feel comfortable experiencing that growth. So maybe, ask yourself, do you want a bigger audience? And where do you want these people to come from? Will that be social media growth or your newsletter or both? How are you feeling about increasing your prices? Is there maybe a way that you can increase the prices for your products and your services while also keeping your work accessible by sharing free information, such as through a blog or a podcast or through an affordable program? And then how do you want your growth to be fueled? Are you willing to put more time in? Do you just want to get better systems in place? Do you find some sense of routine that saves you time so that you're earning more money or have more time building your list or whatever growth you're wishing for? And then ask yourself how you're going to bring more people in. Especially as an introvert, I think that's super important to get clear on. What social media spaces are you actually enjoying? And what kind of media do you like making? Maybe you love making zines, or maybe you'd like to start a podcast, or maybe you want to do some PR and reach out to other people that you admire and ask them if they want to interview you, or if you can write a guest blog post for them. And then also think about the software and the structures that can support that growth that you're wishing for. So ask yourself things like, am I excited to send newsletters? And if not, then maybe I need to change my provider. Do you feel good about your bookkeeping right now? Do you have systems in place for social media that feel good? Or is there anything that maybe you're wasting money for that because you're actually not using it, especially in the area of software? And then maybe think about how you can bring more humans in to support you. Maybe make more connections on the internet. Ask people if they want to start an informal mastermind with you. Think about networking and what that means to you and what aspects of it feel really good. And then of course also there should be space to think about money. How you're feeling about your prices right now and how you're feeling about the accessibility of your work. How much do you need in order to feel safe, and what would you like to reinvest in your business? So I know these are a ton of questions, and I hope some of them have been helpful for you. I just want to say that I think December is a beautiful time to spend some time with your journal and to really just turn inwards and think about how this year has been, not just for you privately, that's super important, but maybe also for your business and for what you're wishing for the next year. Like I said, I would love to see more of you in the program. I really think it is a no-brainer. I'm so proud that I get to offer this at $11 a month. You can cancel anytime, and I am always updating the content. I think the community that has already come together and that will meet for live workshops is really amazing. And I'm excited to start the directory as well, so everyone gets to list their business there so that we can all follow and support and love each other up. Thank you so much for considering this, and thank you so much also for your support with this podcast this year. If you like it, please keep the reviews coming. That really helps. And if you have any questions at all, do let me know. Have a beautiful day.